So, like I was talking about, when you have the opportunity to put your hands on the CLS bag or the JFAC, IFAC, there's a number of different types out there. Open it up. Make sure you know what's in there, and not only what's in there, but where is it in that bag. Can't stress enough that if you're a unit and you have multiple CLS bags, that they be packed consistently. Can't stress enough that if you're a unit and you have multiple CLS bags, what you don't want to do in that moment is be digging, even though CLS bag's not really large. You don't want to waste your time digging for stuff you don't want to do somewhere. And again, those stress before and after. Additionally, make sure that you have the documentation that you need. Now, the Mace 2 it's a hard card riveted together. Has 4 pages in it. I'm holding one in my hand. Laminated, and you just write on. So it's not really a reproducible form. 9-line, however you want to get your 9-line on paper, digital, or otherwise. That 1380, everybody should have one on them. In my experience, we packed it on every person and in every IFAC, JFAC. Next slide.
Check on learning.
All right, so check on learning for this portion. When providing buddy aid, should you use your JFAC or the casualty's JFAC?
The casualty JFAC.
You should be using their JFAC.
Absolutely. What's the most important life-saving item in the JFAC? And this fades back to the previous presentation. Say again? I can almost hear you.
Oh, touch screen don't work no more.
Tourniquet? Right. Yeah, so tourniquet, right? And we're just running that March algorithm again, right? Massive hemorrhaging. So the tourniquet stop the bleeding. And when should medications and medical grade equipment be replaced in the JFAC? So medications, we're talking the only thing you should be carrying is the pill pack. Medical grade equipment, we're talking probably one that comes to the top of my mind is that 14 gauge needle. So when should those be replaced?
As soon as possible, depending on the environment you're in, or like if you're on mission or whatever. But even then, you can call in for resupply. So.
Right. So if they're expired, if you notice that they're ripped, torn, how many applications can we get out of a cat tourniquet?
You just don't. Everybody has that bit. You shouldn't be like reusing it.
Right. So keep in mind, we have training tourniquets. Well, those may be actual tourniquets, not the blue ones or orange ones, whatever training color they are. Don't use your tourniquet, the one in your IFAC or JFAC, to practice in your spare time. You want to make sure that when it has to be used, that it's in a good condition and not going to break while it's being applied on you. Remember, your equipment's going to be used on you first. All right, next slide. All right, so just a basic overview of medical equipment. Today, I'm going to, let me see. You can go ahead. Can everybody see my camera? Where I'm at?
We can see your camera, Sergeant.
Yep. Okay. All right, so if you can see me, this is obviously an old IFAC, right?
Mm-hmm.
For those that aren't familiar, how do I know it's old? Because it doesn't have, the newer ones are all, you pull it out, there's this center portion that contains the needle, the 14 gauge needle, the NPA, your pressure dressing, and on the outside of that's the tourniquet. Here's the CLS bag that you would normally, again, there's different styles. like I was saying, the most important part is for you to go through these and make sure that everything's in here and you know where it's at. Not only you, but your team. If you are a CLS and you've got other CLS around, that all of you guys know what's in this bag and where it's at. See that one. Any questions on that slide deck? If not, we're going to push into the next slide, the next presentation, and after that one, we'll have a break again.
I got a quick one. Because these medical bags are being placed on your body, you got to put it to where you can reach it easily. So, like, if you get shot in one arm, can you reach it with the other arm? So
Right.
you want to place it so that way when you can use it with both arms and it's easily accessible.
And now, Sarvega, in your experience, you're talking, you have to treat some type of trauma to yourself. It's normally something that's pretty bad, right? That you need to treat right away. So how did you prep yourself?
So I have two separate kits. I have my actual body armor, and then I wear a war belt. The war belt I can clip off and then pull around me and then actually get to it.
Right.
So you're able to detach a whole belt from you instead of trying to fight it on your kit. And then you got to think of combat-wise too. So if you're shooting your weapon, what's in the way of your arms?
Right.
Your IFAK and your ammunition. So
What's
you got to
wrong?
think of placement.
No, I 100% occur.
I'm trying to be a ventriloquist right now. I'm not moving my lips because these niggas is watching me on the camera.
We had a tourniquet in our right pocket and one in our left leg pocket. Like Sarvega,
Yo, my ventriloquist skills is
what I
OD.
carried first trip through Iraq was
I'm
a
trying
leg
to.
rig.
How you spell
I not
ventriloquist?
only had my IFAK, but I had a leg rig that would drop down.
Alright, about to ask Siri.
And I knew that was on my leg. It was easier to get to my leg. Than
Yo, my
the IFAK on the back
ventriloquist
of my-
skills
or on the side of my
is amazing. Watch.
IBA. That's great questions. Anybody else have any questions?
Alright, y'all ready to go?
But this is Lieutenant Specky.
Alrighty.
I have a question. You talk about
Oh, yo, these dudes cannot see it. Yeah, shit, really.
terminology. Now, for this, I have limited experience working with other branches. If I tell a Navy or a Marine or an Air Force guy, hey, my
This is
IFAK,
crazy.
or start referring to things in Army terms, is the
These
terminology
niggas can't see my lips
force
anymore.
right now for medical, when it comes to medical
Sir
equipment,
James.
or if I say IFAK to an Air Force
Sir
person, I have no idea what I'm
James.
talking about.
Good question. I think they're going to pick up on the terminology that you said IFAK, not JFAC, and they're going to understand what you're talking about. There's a lot of, like Sanchi said,
Your
it's not
microphone
the
is
Army
weak.
operating by the Army all alone by itself anymore. There's a
Back
lot
up!
of joint.
I don't want you.
on now.
Thank you.
So, in 2016, I
Damn,
was in
no.
Lucia Ramadi.
Give me a kiss.
Pushing ISIS out of there. And, like I said, we were the only Army, well,
I see my
we were the
daughter.
Army
Oh,
medical asset on that small little fob. And I had a Navy BAS that was attached with me. We trained, well, we had to, forced to. You have 15 casualties come in, you only got a 10-man team. You're drawing in those resources. So we train a lot, especially on the medical side. We train a lot with each other, making sure that we're all up to speed on, tactics, techniques, sharing what works, what doesn't work. I think some of that's going away. There's less of that. You're in the Army, I'm in the Navy, I'm in the Marines, so we don't talk to each other. A lot more sharing of information, especially talking about the joint trauma system, the joint
I'm gonna fail this
the Committee
test.
on Tactical Combat Casualty Care. The fact that you guys are seeing these slides and they're designed for all services, there's a course in there for all service members. Much more headed in that standardized nomenclature and techniques. That's your question, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Sergeant.
Uh-huh. Anything else? All right. Okay, Abraham, if you can launch the next one.
Yo, Morgan, stop. I'm ventriloquist. Y'all seen me talking? Nah, I ain't talking about you. I'm talking
So
about.
taking a little bit deeper
I'm
dive
talking about the
that
people.
Karen require.
I'm in this shit.
And again, we're at that tier 1 I mentioned all service members, so it's that generalized medical training for which we're going to call Tier 1. Tier 2, you're being a combat lifesaver, and the other tiers above you as far as medical. Next slide. Right, again, let's repeat a lot, especially on this slide. But it's important to know where we're at.
I didn't mean to jump, y'all.
So we're talking.
Move!
All service members at Buddy Aid, and now we're at the CLS level. Next slide.
Hey! Go!
TLOs, we're going to cover the basics of care under fire, right? Fire superiority, taking care of that casualty, the appropriate actions while you're in the care under fire. We're going to talk again about the massive hemorrhaging as far as the March algorithm. I believe there's some videos on one-handed, two-handed tourniquets, so what those techniques are, and then some of the drags and carries that are out there. Next slide. Alright, again, 3 phases of tactical combat casualty care, and we're in that first phase, care under fire. So, it's quick decision making. We're considering the scene safety, and that verbiage translates not only to the military, but on the civilian side for the fighting civilian EMS out there. Identify and control life-threatening bleeding. Again, we talked about massive hemorrhaging, bright red, right, arterial, oxygen-rich, typical spurting. I mean, you'll know the difference between the arterial bleed and the venous bleed. And then moving that casualty to safety. That is all care under fire is that portion of it. So something to think about is the right intervention performed at the wrong time can lead to disastrous results, right? Doing the appropriate intervention at the appropriate time. Next slide. All right, so we talked about this. You're being engaged, you return fire and take cover. It says never attempt to rescue a casualty until hostile fire is suppressed. That's probably most of the time a very good rule to follow, right? Not rushing out onto the X while you're still taking effective fire. Using available resources assures scene safety. So that list of available resources goes a long ways, right? You could have tactical vehicles.
I'm gonna get my box.
Going with armored vehicles. Some of those can be used to provide cover. So thinking outside the box as far as what do I have that can ensure that that scene where that casualty is safe, whether that's fire superiority or some of the actual physical means of ensuring it. Next stage is direct casualty remain engaged, apply self-aid, move to cover if they're able, gain fire superiority, and then we move to the casualty. As you're looking at those 4 there, I'm looking at the first 3. And something that
was me.
Mind. I know we go through, hey, can you return fire? You know, you're asking all these questions. So
you took my barrel stabilizer.
Whatever you're going to yell.
Yeah.
It's probably going to be, hey, are you okay? Or whatever it is. There's one of your buddies who just dropped. The secondary aspect of this is you're gaining insight into how quickly injured that casualty is, right? If you ask them to move to cover and they don't move, that's normally, in your mind, a idea of where they're at as far as their triage casualties. Alright, important considerations. The order of actions will be dictated by the situation, right? I'm going to try to stay away from saying this is the way it's going to be, because it's not true. Every situation is different, and as the previous slide says, you're making critical decisions in a very, very short time. Apply a casualty may be able to perform self-insurance. I think most of it is instinctively. I'm thinking to myself, hey, I've got to raise a blade, I'm scraping some paint off something, and I cut myself. The first thing I do is I apply direct pressure. Some of those are going to happen instinctively, but we can always, if they're in a position, help reiterate to them. Can you put on XYZ, whatever the situation is, assess. Last step, constantly assess risk and make a plan before moving a casualty. That's something that should happen intuitively, right? Like I was talking about, there's indicators that I'm getting from that casualty. that are helping formulate those decisions in my mind as I'm assessing where they're at, as far as are they conscious, unconscious, what's it going to take for me to get out there and get them back, and then having that plan in place before we get out there. Calling out for additional resources. If I'm the one rushing out there, I'm going to ask certainly for a security team, which is normally what's going to happen. You're going to move out, and then somebody pre-designated to help you get them off there, which is you guys. The CLS, if a medics were there with you, force multiply and get them out of there. Next slide. All right, the role of fire superiority. Return fire and take cover, right? Again, some of that's going to happen instinctively. The gaining of fire superiority. There's probably going to be some tangible feedback as far as when you've received that, but who ultimately is going to give you that nod that you've gained fire superiority, or that it's okay for you to move out there? That's a question. Anybody?
The casualty themselves?
I probably wouldn't trust the casualty to tell me it's safe to get him out of there, because that's what they're going to be screaming the whole time. Help me, right?
Sergeant, big team. Can you be the squad leader, whoever's in charge tactically?
Right. So the tactical leader typically is going to make that decision to move, and then we'll move out there. So next slide. So return fire, take cover, gain fire superiority. And again, we're talking the orders of actions will be dictated by the situation. A little bit of flexibility. But again, keeping all this in mind, return fire and take cover, direct casualty and remain engaged, direct casualty by self-aid and move to cover.
Oh, wait, no, me, I swear I hit radio.
Inside of the kill zone. SRMT said, there's nothing here that says these are the rules. If you can't check the box, you don't do something. That's not true, but sometimes we've got to do what we do to get people out of there. Generally speaking, not a good idea to move into there. It's an active kill zone. We don't have that video as part of this, where we had the Marines that one guy dropped, and they kept shooting people out there and dragging them out of the kill zone, and they were all becoming targets for doing that. Suppress hostile fire to get right? The best preventative medicine is superior fire power. Keep their heads down while we do guys here. Alright, so we've got bullseye place first on the ground, live threatening to and get the casualty out and kill them if they're unable to move. They can move themselves and they're probably going to try to get out of there. But that's pretty much the only thing we're going to do out there, right? Currently trying to get them out of the kill zone. I'm looking at the picture, and I already, before I move, know what I'm going to do, right? I see bleeding from the leg. First person that drops, let's see if I get anything else with blood soaked, but on another turn, can't get him out of there. Next slide. Alright, reiterating those parts, just casualties can fire if they're able. Again, some of them probably happen instinctively for the casualty. And if it doesn't happen instinctively, again, formulating in my mind, 2 or 3 are coming back. The alert, oriented, verbal, and then have the casualty move to cover and flex self if they're able. All good things to have them do. Again, depends on the casualty. Next slide. Alright, so if the casualty is unable to move, when it's tactically feasible, go to them when fire has been suppressed and fire superiority is gained and aid in movement. Use rope.
Yo, I found another purple book bag.
So there's a number of different things out there, going from things that you would probably have on hand up to like they make harnesses, dragons, ones that'll clip to your belt and then clip to their web gear, and you can drag them off. And again, we'll go into more on that as far as reducing friction on when you're trying to lift or drag somebody off that area. Next slide. Alright, so again, March. Massive hemorrhage. For life-threatening bleeding, place the tourniquet high and tight about the wound. Can anybody explain to me? Mia says life-threatening bleeding. What are you going to use to determine if it's life-threatening bleeding?
Quick blood loss, the skin turning pale and the clammy. Basically anything above, I don't know, maybe a gallon.
Okay. I think all of those are probably signs of severe blood loss. I would agree. I'm not.
Right there,
Stick it all up in my house. About to take my blue shield and everything, ain't you, Ronald?
Sure.
My blue shield that I was about to get, and your ass is over here.
In case I didn't mention
all over. You say, oh, get to it first now. I remember that. Get to it first. Get to it first game.
So I'm not real smart.
I'm gonna start following Ronald ass. Get to it first.
So if I see somebody out there and I'm going to
I am over here.
The point of injury.
Minding my damn business.
I'm simply
looting my damn houses.
Is there blood? And if it's on a limb, I'm going to put a tourniquet on it. Right? High and tight above the wound. I'm not going to be spending situation dependent. Absolutely. So there's not always hard and fast rule. But particularly if it's blood soaked, if I have blood soaked sleeve or blood soaked pant leg, I'm not going to spend the time to cut it open and determine whether or not it's arterial or venous. At that point, it's probably red and dirty, soaked through the uniform. I have 1 minute, so that's. If we're talking arterial bleed, we don't have a lot of time. So if I see blood on an extremity, I'm going to put a tourniquet on in that 1 minute. Anybody else have a different approach on that one? No? Alright. Drive carry based on the tactical situation, right? Move casually off of the point of injury. So again, tourniquet, you get 1 minute to do it. And we'll go over that as far as testable skill and how to apply one rapidly and effectively. Next slide. Alright, massive bleeding from carrying fire. Celebrating a couple that's been together for 15 years. Mookie Betts and his now fiancée Brianna officially getting engaged. Mookie got his ring this season with the Dodgers.
Sorry, hold on, I think it crashed for a second.
I see that.
Ladies and gentlemen, take note. If Mookie Betts can wait 15 years to propose to his fiancée, ladies, what are you complaining about? Fellas, take your time. On top of all that, that's
so some of the stuff we'll teach is, doing a blood sweep when you rush out there real quick. And all I'm doing is I'm just grabbing the extremities and quickly swiping down them and asking the question, did I come back with red hands? If so, then I need to put a tourniquet on. We can reevaluate that tourniquet. We'll talk about more about that as we go into the other care, phase of care. But I only have a minute. So it's going to be put a tourniquet on. How many tourniquets do you carry on you? IFAK.
I would say it's dependent on SOP, but generally at least one.
Right, generally at least one. And like I was talking about, our SOP was to carry 3 on us. I have 4 limbs. I've got 3 tourniquets on. Hopefully all 3 are still in useful condition, depending upon what type of injury. But really quick, you could run through a couple of tourniquets. Alright, go ahead and watch the video.
If you can only do one thing for the casualty, stop him from bleeding to death. Early control of severe hemorrhage is critical. Injury to a major vessel can quickly lead to shock and death. Only life-threatening bleeding warrants intervention during care under fire. Life-threatening bleeding can be identified by several characteristics. There is pulsatile or steady bleeding from the wound. Blood is pooling on the ground. The overlying clothes are soaked with blood. Bandages or makeshift bandages used to cover the wound are ineffective and steadily becoming soaked with blood. there is a traumatic amputation of an arm or leg. There was prior bleeding, and the patient is now in shock, unconscious, confused, or pale. How long does it take to bleed to death from a complete femoral artery and vein disruption? Casualties with such an injury can bleed to death in as little as 3 minutes. This is a femoral artery bleeding. It does not take long to die from this. All personnel should have a COTC recommended tourniquet readily available and be trained in its use. Casualties should be able to easily and quickly reach their own tourniquets. Do not bury your tourniquet at the bottom of your package. Where a tourniquet can be applied, it is the first choice of control of life-threatening hemorrhage in care under fire. Forget about direct pressure dressings, and anything else.
Went through the portal.
If you have severe extremity bleeding in the care under fire phase, go directly to a tourniquet. The medic in this unit was killed in the battle in which the soldier was wounded. Others in the unit attempted to control the bleeding from this soldier's wound just below his left knee. The improvised tourniquets were ineffective, and the soldier bled to death. Don't let this happen to you.
There's somebody waiting for y'all.
Apply a tourniquet without delay if indicated. The casualty and the medic are in grave danger when a tourniquet is being applied. The risk of further injury versus that of bleeding to death must be made by the person rendering care. Apply the tourniquet without removing the uniform. Make sure it is clearly proximal to the bleeding site. If you are uncertain about exactly where the major bleeding site is, such as in night operations or multiple wounds, apply the tourniquet high and tight, as proximal as possible on the arm or leg. Tighten the tourniquet until bleeding is controlled. If the first tourniquet fails to control the bleeding, apply a second tourniquet just above the first. Don't put a tourniquet directly over the knee or elbow. Don't put a tourniquet directly over a holster or a cargo pocket that contains bulky items. Unscrupulous manufacturers make and sell knockoffs that look very much like COTC-approved limb tourniquets. They have poor quality, and numerous failures have been reported.
James, we're sorry.
There are many common mistakes made by first responders applying tourniquets. Not using one when you should, or waiting too long to put it on. Not pulling all the slack out before tightening. Using a tourniquet for minimal bleeding. Putting it on too proximally if the bleeding site is clearly visible. Not taking it off when indicated during tactical field care. Taking it off when the casualty is in shock or has only a short transport time to the hospital. Not making it tight enough. The tourniquet should both stop the bleeding and eliminate the distal pulse. Not using a second tourniquet if needed. Periodically loosening the tourniquet to allow blood flow to the injured extremity. These lessons learned have been written in blood. Only use a tourniquet for severe bleeding. These wounds do not need a tourniquet. Neither wound is life-threatening. Bleeding is minimal. A tourniquet should not be used on these two wounds or other wounds like them where the bleeding is not severe. It is expected that tourniquet application will cause some pain, but it will also save your casualties life. Tourniquets hurt when applied effectively. It does not necessarily indicate a mistake in application. It does not mean you should take it off. Manage pain per TC3 guidelines. After any tourniquet application, monitor the casualty closely to ensure that the tourniquet remains tight and that bleeding remains controlled. Reassess, reassess, reassess.
I am repairing myself.
All right. Had a question while we were out there. Indication of or assessment of blood loss based on verbal response by the casualty. Yes. So we'll cover that later on as far as certainly as you're starting to lose blood, you're going to go through that whole spiral down as far as your level of consciousness, right? When we talk alert, somebody knows where they are, what happened, the whole 9 yards, verbal. They're talking to you, but it's kind of off. They're showing signs of anxiety, shock setting in, right? And that could be hypovolemic shock, right? So loss of blood. So there's other times of shock that could also cause somebody to have verbal responses that are not quite on point, that are not directly related to blood loss. But yeah, you'll see them spiral on down. Like I mentioned, and the slide reiterated, So when I say I see blood soaked, right, that's usually an indication of fairly severe bleed. And they say within 3 minutes, and we're saying we have 1 minute to put on a tourniquet, which is probably right, depending upon how long that casualty is down before you can get to them. You don't have a lot of time left to put that tourniquet on. Any questions on the video that we just watched? Nope. Shake your heads. Nope. Good to go. All right. Moving on.
Taking a moment to recharge my shields.
All right. So again, all this is worth repeating. Bright red blood pulling down, right? Significant amount of blood loss. The overlying clothes are soaked with blood. Not just that I have a little bit, not blood splatter, but it's soaking through the clothing. There's a traumatic amputation of the arm or leg.
Somebody got any sniper ammo?
Right, that definitely needs a tourniquet. Pulsatile pulsing prosthetic bleeding.
Oh, found some.
I've seen some pretty good bleeds where that pulsatile bleeding, yeah, it's much like the picture. You're going to see blood spurting out of it. Keep in mind that typically those injuries are,
yep,
the clothing's been blasted off, and you can get that bleeding out of it. Next slide.
She said a Sombra.
Alright, recapping some of the videos. So we're talking moral bleed.
I thought I was hearing shit.
Cassie's gonna bleed out pretty quick. So while I said don't direct pressure as a, that is the definitive treatment, not the answer. But should you or could you apply direct pressure while you're applying that tourniquet? And that's a question to you all.
Mm-hmm.
The ring is close.
Anybody want to take a shot at it?
I would say absolutely. And you do an artery or something like that to stem the flow of the bleeding while you apply it.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
I'm about to see.
Yeah, so typically I'm not going to be out there by myself, having somebody hold and maintain direct pressure on our artery. And we're going to land if you don't know where to find those, we'll show you where to find them. Inguinal, axillary, how to get up in there while somebody's applying the tourniquet, right? Blood pressures. So anything we can do is slow the loss while we're putting that tourniquet on. Again, the video shows it high and tight. By high and tight, we mean high, all the way up. Arm, of course, we get back leg, and then on the leg, although the person could be more right on the knee, there, the actual injury can be, 4 or 5 inches above ground. So again, care in the fire, no about it, getting it up as high and tight as possible. Alright, so this goes back to where I was talking about, know where your stuff is. PCCs and PCBIs, right? So if I'm the team leader, I probably should be inspecting, which we did. I'm going to press the leg, make sure that the that's on, make sure the other one's there, make sure you got your IFAC on you, and that the right stuff is in your IFAC. It's not a food container, hey, I left that stuff out, I'm just packing some stuff for while we're out here. When you help anybody, never use your own tourniquet, right? That's your tourniquet. Look for the tourniquet in the casualty. JFAC, IFAC, and like I said, the new ones is pretty easy. Pull it out and throw it on the side. Out of the case and throw it on the side. All the other stuff inside the other container. If the casualty does not have tourniquet available, then use the tourniquet from the CLS kit or the next one available. Again, it's not yours. Yeah, and I'm looking at the message here. Putting pressure on makes sure I knew this bleeding with the knee while applying tourniquet. Absolutely. A knee, somebody else's hands, but great point. Always worth revisiting that one. Ankle area, yeah, it's certainly easier for somebody to drop a knee into that region. But with a fair amount of pressure. Axillary is I've never done it with a knee. It's pretty challenging. But certainly somebody grabbing around the shoulder and putting pressure up into there to include that artery is the way you want to go after that. Again, blood pressure is still anything you do to stop the flow. Next slide. Alright. So the one-handed application, right? We'll go over this in person, but you're going to slide up. They're showing a ratchet one here, and in the pictures, they're showing a ratchet in the picture with the arm. So again, what materials do you have? There's always innovations coming out that the Army is adopting. In this case, the Joint Committee on Tactical Combat Guided Repair is adopting these new devices. You've seen them all. But always check the shoes. So,
oh yeah.
We'll go over the technique for how to put that on. And the nice thing about the Gen 3 cat tourniquet is it doesn't have the double pass-through anymore. If anybody's familiar with that one, where you had to thread it through two, and it's very difficult to get it on. So you're always doing through one, in the sense of the one-handed application. But pretty straightforward. You can put it on full as tight as possible. Secure the belt, and then start that windlass. It's important to get it tight before you start twisting that windlass. And when we get to the hands-on, we'll show you some techniques for how to get it on there tight.
Ooh.
You should only have to turn it 3-4 times before it's really tight and it's occluded directly. You got craziness going on with the font on the right-hand side. When you guys are on the Combat Medicine website, you'll see that everything in there is a PDF. So Barnes appreciate it. She was able to pull these down and put them in the PowerPoint to facilitate the training of the teams. Next slide.
Hello, Richard here. Today, we're applying the one-handed windlass tourniquet in the Carrier fire phase. The first step to applying the tourniquet is to remove from your gauge pack or your tourniquet pouch. Insert the injured limb through the loop of the shelf-securing band. Position the tourniquet above the bleeding site, high in the extremity of the clothing or uniform. Ensure all the slack in the band is being pulled through the routing buckle before the band is fastened back on itself and the windlass is twisted. Remember, fastening the self-securing band back on itself all the way around the limb, but not over the windlass rod clips. Twist the rod until bleeding has stopped, completing the process within 1 minute. Lock the windlass rod in place with the windlass clip. Route the self-adhering band around the rod and between the clips, and secure with the windlass strap. Remember, do not document tourniquet application time until tactical field care phase. If no other major bleeding is present, move out of direct fire.
Making contact. Contact with hostile.
Hello, Richard here. Today I'm going to teach you how to apply the one-handed ratchet tourniquet in the Carrier fire phase. One very important thing for you to remember is always have your tourniquet in a place that you can easily assess it within a matter of seconds. The first thing you need to do is remove your tourniquet from your J bag or your tourniquet pouch. Insert the wounded extremity through the loop of the tourniquet band. Position the tourniquet above the bleeding site, high in the extremity of the clothing or uniform. Now, grasp the loop with your teeth to prevent slipping when tightening. Tighten the tourniquet strap as much as possible. Lift the lever arm of the ratcheting buckle and tighten the tourniquet until the bleeding has stopped. Completing the process within 1 minute. Lock the ratchet on itself. It will click into place. Remember, if bleeding is not controlled, continue to ratchet the maneuver device until the bleeding is stopped. Remember, do not document the tourniquet application time until the tactical field care phase. If no other major bleeding is present, move out of direct fire.
Much, but losing, that would be a drag.
Sergeant, your microphone is muted.
You stupid.
Good call. Thank you, sir. Tourniquets are used to control massive or severe hemorrhage of extremity, arms, and legs. Sarges alluded to it and mentioned that we don't really have the opportunity. We don't have the simulators or the rooms to really to train you in the gray, right? Not in the black, meaning that we stress you so much that you can't function. You know, the stress is overwhelming, you lose where you're at. simulation where they tried to put tourniquets across somebody's torso, right? It was interesting to watch. But the tourniquets are only for extended arms and legs. They're effective and can be applied equivalently, and you saw the two different types that we have there. The most important life-saving item, the J-FAC, should be kept easily accessible. And again, never use your own tourniquet before the casualty. Next slide. Alright, if the owner is responsible for any of the approach casualty and conduct visual blood sweep looking for major bleeding, like I said, then normally doing that before you can start to move, get anything, and as I'm coming up on them, looking again for that blood soak or pulling. If you see bleeding, apply a hasty, high and tight tourniquet using the two-handed method, right? The best way to get on there is get some good pressure and get it tight. And we're probably going to see that note there throughout this entire slide deck. Be sure to use the equipment in the casualty J-FAC and not your own. Alright, next one.
There's a gold knockdown over here for you, Ronald.
Knockdown shield here. Level 4.
Oh, gold has it.
Hello, Richard here. Today I'm going to teach you how to properly
Purple
apply
book
the
bag.
two-handed ratcheting tourniquet from the
Let's see why Jay like going to the middle.
The first thing you need to do is remove your tourniquet from your J-FAC or your tourniquet carrying pouch. Insert the wounded extremity through the loop of the tourniquet strap or route the strap around the limb. Pass the tip through the routing buckle and pull it back on itself. Position the tourniquet above the bleeding side, high in the extremity of the clothing or uniform. Now, pull the strap tightly as possible, removing all excess slack. Lift the lever arm to the ratcheting buckle and tighten the tourniquet until bleeding is stopped, completing the process within 1
fuck
minute.
your side, nigga.
Next, lock the ratchet on itself. It will click into place.
He said it was free game, nigga.
Application time until the tactical field care phase. If no other major bleeding is found, move the casualty out of the
Free game. Like fucking future, nigga. Free game. I just need a 301. To be real.
Hello, Richard here. I'm an active duty 68 Whiskey combat medic. Today I'm going to teach you how to properly apply the two-handed windlass tourniquet in the care and fire phase. The first thing you need to do is remove your tourniquet from your J-FAC or your tourniquet pouch. Slip the wounded extremity through the loop of the self-adhering band or route the strap around the limb and pass the red tip through the slit of the routing buckle. Position the tourniquet above the bleeding site, high on the extremity over the clothing or uniform. Ensure all slack in the self-adhering band is pulled through the routing buckle before the band is fastened back on itself and the windlass is twisted. Remember, fasten the self-adhering band back on itself all the way around the limb, but not over the windlass rod clips. Twist the windlass rod until the bleeding is stopped, completing the process within 1 minute. Lock the windlass rod in place with the windlass clip. Secure with the windlass strap. Remember, do not document the tourniquet application time until the tactical field care phase. If no other major bleeding is found, move the casualty out of direct fire.
Backpack here. Level 3. Extended heavy mag here.
Right.
Level 3.
So skill set station. Great question for Specialist Watt. As far as you saw the ratchet tourniquet. Certainly we have the cat tourniquets. We will bring whatever we have to the table as far as, certainly myself, Sergeant T, have collected stuff along our ways that we'll try to get the stuff into your hands. But there's some of the stuff that, these slides are new. So I applaud them for that. This stuff is relevant. It's stuff
Let's get the hell out of here.
there. Not always looking to have everything that you're going to be shown here at the reserve station. Certainly when you go down range, you're going to see all that stuff, all the great stuff that's being filtered out there, hopefully. And again, it really depends on your situation. For myself in Iraq, it was literally, it took 6 months to get a resupply because we were kind of cut off. So whatever we had on hand is what we got, unless somebody brought it in on a medevac. Next slide. Anybody have any questions on this video?
Move, you dumb dogs.
Extraction casualties. Casualties to be extracted from vehicles and buildings per unit standard operating procedures. If casualties are on fire, put out the fire immediately, right? Stop the burning is the first one. Move casualties relative safety following the unit SOP. So again, your tactical leader is going to determine, you know, what that looks like as far as where you're moving to potentially. But yeah, vehicles, and again, we're looking differently than the civilian side. Civilian side, we use a Kendrick's extraction device or something like that. We'd have a seat collar on them before we ever got them out of the vehicle, right? We have a different priorities, right? And for us, it's getting out of that point of entry, point of impact, wherever that incident occurred, and then pulling back and giving the treatment. All right, next one.
Got people close.
Once we get control of these casualties, we cover using one or two person drag, right? Get them out of there. And we'll talk about later on when each one is appropriate. And at the point of injury, you must move your casualty as close to the point of cover, right? We're going to try to get them as quickly to somewhere where we can go to the next phase of care, the tactical field care. If you must move casualty under fire, quickly develop casualty movement rescue plan. Like, you can go out there, security team, medic, somebody else can go, or the CLS, another team member can grab the casualty, and the rest of the team will provide security to get out of there. Moving the casualty spinal injuries are not to be concerned during care under fire movements. Again, we have different than civilian EMS. You know, seems relatively safe. We've got some time to extract them from the vehicle, so we're going to place spinal injuries and the protection so that a little bit higher on the list as far as how we're going to go through this. For us, it's get them out of there.
There was. They were fighting over here.
Blaster penetrating, so the mechanism of injury is not really consistent with where we would see injuries. Now, for being airborne, I would say it's you're going to have to.
They right over here. Well. I'm trying to get in there.
You are going to have some spinal injuries that have to be considered before you drag somebody out. Next one.
You got everything you need? There's a low one.
Alright, so you have different one-person drags and carries, forward carry, pretty straightforward. Kid or arm drags, so be careful what you're grabbing hold of when you drag them. The neck drag, you know, they're going to grab around you, and you're going to drag them off there. Again, situation dependent. You choose the one that's most advantageous for your situation. Cradle, drop, drag. Casually up or down the stairs, down to short distances. Again, we'll demonstrate these, give you guys an opportunity to go over them once we're all back in the building. Next slide.
Hi, Justin here. I'm an active duty 68 Whiskey medic. In this video, we'll be teaching you how to perform one-person drags and carries. Rapidly moving a conscious or unconscious casualty from a point of injury to a secure position or a position of safety without causing further harm to our casualty is a critical step in TC3. While the kit or arm drag may be a means of dragging a casualty to cover or safety, it is not always efficient for longer distances and may increase the chance of causing further harm to our casualty. Used only when hostile fire gives the rescuer no other option. Grab the casualty by their equipment, a drag handle, a strap, or their arm. Some body armor is equipped with a drag handle. Make sure that the equipment is fully strapped and secured onto the casualty. While walking backwards, in quick short bursts, drag the casualty towards cover. Injury can occur to either the rescuer or the casualty during training drills. Keep safety in mind. The neck drag is useful in combat because it minimizes the casualty and rescuer's exposure to enemy fire. Hold or tie the casualty's hands together at the wrists. A conscious casualty may clasp their hands together around the bearer's neck. This may be time-consuming if the casualty is unconscious and cannot hold their hands together. In this case, tie or strap the casualty's hands together to keep them around the rescuer's neck. Straddle the casualty in a kneeling face-to-face position. Loop the casualty's tied hands over your neck. Crawl forward, dragging the casualty with you. Keep the casualty on their back. This can be tiring for the first responder if the patient is heavy or wearing a lot of gear. This method cannot be used if the casualty has a serious arm injury or amputation. If the casualty is unconscious, their head must be protected from the ground. The cradle drop drag is effective in moving a casualty up or down stairs, steps, or short
Just let me know when you get there.
Kneel at the casualty's head with the casualty lying on their
I'm gonna just protect myself
Slide
right
your
here.
hands with palms up under the casualty's shoulders and get a firm hold under their armpits. Rise partially, supporting the casualty's head on one of your forearms.
So we might as well get our ass to the circle. Just come back.
On both of your forearms.
Come back, man.
Rise and drag the casualty
Okay, go for it. Let's do
The
it.
casualty is in a semi-sitting position. Alright, now we're going to discuss the pack strap carry. In the pack strap carry, the casualty's weight rests high on the rescuer's back. This makes it easier for you to carry the casualty a moderate distance, up to 50 to 300 meters. To eliminate the possibility of injury to the casualty's arms, hold the arms in a natural position around your neck.
She ain't had shit, that's why.
Just put their arms around your neck. It is best if one of the casualty's arms is routed under one of the rescuer's arms and up towards the neck. Lift the casualty from the ground onto a standing position using your leg muscles. Grasp the casualty's wrist and ensure their arm is over your shoulder. Bend forward.
We should have went up the stairs.
Force the casualty as high on your back as possible. So
We should have went up, Ronald.
resting on your back. Once the casualty is positioned on your
Up
back,
to the left.
remain
You
as
see up
erect as
there?
possible to prevent straining or
Yeah.
injuring your back.
Nah, we can't. The
Next
waves
is
right
the
there.
support carry.
Oh, we probably still
This
can.
procedure should be used for a conscious casualty only.
Yeah, let's do that.
Assist the casualty from the ground to a standing position. With your dominant hand, grasp the casualty's corresponding wrist and draw it around behind your neck. Place your other arm around the casualty's waist.
There's some stuff over here too.
Belt or
Purple.
clothing where the belt loop is
Viva 8.
while using yourself as a crutch.
Sniper.
Walk with the casualty.
Okay. I might want that sniper, but I'm gonna pass.
So we've got the video called the next one for the support carry when we're talking about two-person carry. The kid or arm drag and the fore and aft carry. Each one of these, you see some of them have their benefits over others as far as the kid or arm drag. You should keep your weapon out there. Your two-man support carry, potentially you could. It really depends. And the fore and aft carry is pretty much dedicated to
Yeah, she ain't have shit, bro.
the casualty out of it. Next slide.
Hello, Richard here. I'm an active duty 68 Whiskey medic. In this video, we'll demonstrate how to perform two-person drags and carries. It's a critical step in TC3 to be able to rapidly move a conscious or unconscious casualty from the point of injury to a covered position or position of safety, without causing further harm to the casualty. While a kit or arm drag may be means of dragging a casualty short distances to cover or safety, it is not efficient for longer distances and increases the chance of causing further harm to the casualty. This allows the rescuers to maintain a weapons-up posture while executing the drag. Align yourselves alongside the casualty. Each of you grab the casualty by their equipment, drag handle, strap, or arms. Drag the casualty behind you, going forward as quickly as possible in short bursts of movement. Remember, injury can occur to either the rescuer or casualty during the training drills, so keep safety in mind. The two-person supporting carry can be used in transporting conscious and unconscious casualties. If the casualty is conscious, move the casualty to their feet and support it by putting your arms around their waist. If the casualty is unconscious, kneel next to the casualty and raise them to a seated position, facing in the same direction as you. Grasp the casualty's closest wrist and draw that arm around you to your neck. If conscious and able, the casualty should use their arms to hold on to you. Put your other arm around the casualty's waist and grab the casualty's web belt, if worn, or clothing, equipment, if possible. Lift and support the casualty while moving forward. Position the casualty on their back with arms at their sides. The taller of the two rescuers kneels at the casualty's head and faces the casualty's feet. That rescuer slides their hands underneath.
Alright, James, I'm gonna hop back on, Ron.
Locks their hands together over the casualty's chest. The second rescuer spreads the casualty's legs and kneels between them, with the rescuer's back to the casualty's head. Then the second rescuer grasps the casualty's legs, placing their hands underneath the casualty's knees. Rise together and lift the casualty. And finally, walk forward together with the casualty.
Alright, so we'll go and push through this, and like I said, once we are actually able to get back in to the classroom environment. We'll go over the skills and actually have you guys perform them. Next slide. Alright, so in summary, we define care under fire, discuss the importance of
Hey, Ron, I'm getting back on later, you hear me?
define massive hemorrhaging control methods, right, the tourniquet, and we discuss casual moving into care under fire phase. The video's going over the advantages, disadvantages, excuse me, the 1 and 2 person drag carry methods. Next slide. Alright, so we'll go through these quickly. You guys can answer on what is care under fire. Anybody there?
It's like the first phase of TCCC, and it's care provided when actively in contact with the enemy.
Yep. What are the signs of life-threatening bleeding?
Signs of life-threatening bleeding are soaked clothes with blood, squirting bright red blood, and rapid unconsciousness.
Sure. Yeah, multi-level consciousness. How long do you have complete femoral artery vein disruption?
3 minutes.
3 minutes. What are the advantages and disadvantages of one-person drags?
One advantage is limiting the amount of people who are being exposed to fire. The disadvantage could be depending on how that person is wounded or how quickly you have to get them to safety. If doing it by yourself really just break you off. So.
Yeah, no, I concur. Moving one person by yourself, a fully kitted soldier, that's quickly going to wear you out. What are the advantages and disadvantages of two-person carry?
I'd say a good advantage of a two-person carry is just simply, you don't really have to worry about like a litter or skip. You just grab the person and go.
Right, no, I agree. And none of those, they really show that somebody dropping a litter and rolling them on there or unrolling a skip. All those consume time, so you bring up a good point as well. The advantage is that you can quickly grab them off the point of injury and get them out of there. And with some of the two-person carries, you can still maintain some type of an offensive posture as well. You know, weapon in hand, depending upon which carry you use.
Yeah, and something else to consider with that too, an advantage over a skid or a litter is we almost exclusively operate out of vehicles these days. And if you have a casualty strapped to a litter during a skid-go, you're not going to be able to actually put that casualty inside a gun truck underneath the gunner and close the doors. So you're going to then have to transfer the casualty from the litter skid-go into his seat rather than just transfer it directly from the ground into the seat.
Right, no, great point, sir. Great point. Next one. All right, appreciate you guys all bearing with us through all this. Any questions regarding care under fire? We're going to go into more detail on as we continue to build on what we just covered. No questions. Time is 10:25.
What?
Let's take 10 minutes. Actually, I rounded to 12. I'm showing 9:38.
What?
So 10 till?
What?
9:50. Back on here.
What's up?
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Scratch my back. Scratch it. In the back. Stop. Stop. Move. Not you. What's wrong? I just want y'all to leave my shit alone.
Bye.
Stop!
Mommy. Pee-pee. Mommy.
Ah! You step on my face.
What?
Pee-pee.
How's Daddy? Daddy, can you take her, please?
Let's go to the bathroom.
Thank you, honey.
Come on, go pee-pee.
Okay.
Yeah, come on, let's go. I just want to help you out. Come on, Mama, pee-pee. Pee-pee right here. Come on, Mama. you got pee-pee? No? Timmy, you got pee-pee? Do you got pee-pee? Alright, bye-bye. Come on.
Yeah. Daddy just took you.
She don't want to go.
Okay.
Hey, it's going good, Sean Barbara. It's going good.
Going to on Tuesday as well. Phones, phenomenal app. The website's really good as well. And there's a lot of stuff that we're not going to cover in CLS that you should really get exposure to it. Just a bigger picture on as far as how we're training all the medical levels up to that tier 4, the combat paramedic provider. IDT is what I was thinking of earlier. So Navy corpsmen are independent duty. IDC, independent duty corpsmen.
Get up, so I can lay down.
You're not
supposed to be like nasty. What's in the cup?
To the PA level. A lot of exciting stuff happens.
She don't like it.
Across the spectrum for all the forces. It's nice that we're all getting on the same page.
Don't turn the cup up like that, remember?
No,
you gotta keep it down. Here, let mommy show you. Let mommy show you. Come here. She always turns the cup up like that.
I'm not. That's how I drink it up, right? Mama, hold it down. Drink it like that. Yeah, come on. Oh, Jesus Christ. Kennedy, stop! As soon as we turn our head. You just fart.
Use my back to help you walk.
I did a little bit, just not as much as I used to.
Mommy.
Yes,
Daddy,
where are you going?
Did you want to go ahead and start, Sergeant?
Yeah. Modules.
Ow!
Just for everybody, you're.
Why are you so abusive?
Of course, I'm good. We're all right. I'm a little behind schedule, but that's fine.
You're very aggressive, Kennedy.
So should be able to wrap up early today.
You're hurting mommy.
Oh, you're
Don't pull my hair.
Awesome. Let me just test this to make control.
But don't pull it.
Who has control of the slides? Alright, so we are going to go over the principles. I think there's a hot mic.
I'm going to mute them all and you just mute yourself again.
Okay, so we are going to go over the principles of tactical field care now. Again, we are in Role 1 Care, CLS. Next slide. Our terminal learning objectives. So identifying the importance of security and safety and tactical field care, how to remove or extract casualties from a specific platform. We're going to go over communications with both the casualty and your leadership and medical personnel. We'll identify relevant tactical and casualty data.
All my heat.
Basically, we're just going to go over a bunch of communications, how to communicate, and then we're going to move on to the triage and things that you should consider. Next slide. So 3 phases of TC3, we've already gone over care under fire. Now we're going to move to the second phase, which is tactical field care. So this is, again, maintain that situational awareness. And this is when we're going to start our assessment using that March pause algorithm or acronym. Next slide.
So you're not going to get your hands, your feet off of
So we've entered into tactical field care. We've found cover, concealment. As far as now, we are not in direct enemy harm. There's no gun firing directly at us. I mean, you could potentially hear it in the distance, but nothing that you are concerned of at this point. Next slide. So in this, we're going to continue to establish that perimeter. We are having that security, again, whether if we're in a building, the front, back doors, around the building, we've got good comms so we can talk to individuals that are providing that security. And we're going to continue with our assessment using that March pause sequence. Excuse me. And just remember that it can always change from care under fire, tactical field care, and then move back to care under fire at any time. So when you're providing care during tactical field care, and you're maintaining that situational awareness, again, have that mental plan of what am I going to do in the event we become under attack again and I need to move this patient, and know that you're going to have to kind of reassess and start your treatment all over again anytime that you remove your patient from that area that you started treatment. Important considerations, constantly maintain that situational awareness. I think we've harped on this enough. Situational awareness is key when it comes to that medical treatment. Next slide. Security and safety and tactical field care. So we've established that perimeter based off of the rehearsals that we've done prior to the mission. We're maintaining that awareness. Once we start that tactical field care, we want to make sure that we are taking away sensitive items from that casualty. Weapons are cleared and secured, and we, same thing, so like combo would be a sensitive items, gun. They have narcotics on them, so I know that some units that I've been with, they actually issue each individual a fentanyl lollipop that they keep on them. They're signed for it, they're accountable for it, and it's a controlled substance, so if that person goes down, I can go ahead, take their fentanyl lollipop, give it to them. But if in the event that I don't use that, I need to remove that from them because it's a controlled substance considered a sensitive item. Why do you guys think that radios and weapons should be taken from a casualty?
Combo guy. Radios can also contain encryption, and encryption is classified. Also, just radios in general, if the enemy gets a hold of that, I mean, obviously there's going to be serious problems because radios are means of communication.
Right.
Real quick, Sparky, we have, apologize for interrupting, but key leaders for HHC need to transition to the meeting that you had outside of this room. Thank you.
Another thing that's wrong with the weapons and radios, you're going to take them away also so they don't harm themselves or try to harm others when they're in shock.
Right. Good. So I think we're pretty much hit all those key reasons why. So just knowing why each individual has, sometimes we double carry. We've got these M4s, hopefully not carrying M16s. Sometimes we do. And we've got either Glocks or M9s on us. So usually a holstered weapon is a safe weapon. However, we don't want someone who has lost a lot of blood or potentially go into shock to have that weapon to not only harm you or harm your, but they can harm themselves. And then another comment with commo, like it was mentioned, they're encrypted. You know, if you lose a radio overseas, the entire theater will shut down. So in order to mitigate that, make sure you know who has what regarding weapons, commo, narcotics, remove them, and then make sure that you have accountability of all of your sensitive items in a whole prior to moving forward in that mission or evacuating that individual. Any questions with that? Next slide. Other considerations. Again, tactical field care is when we are not directly under fire. I've been in situations where I'm in a mud hut next to where there's active shooting going on all around me, but I'm directly not under fire, so I can continue on as long as my security is maintaining their situational awareness and protecting me as I myself and my team are rendering care. Again, prudent with resources, use their equipment first, don't use yours on them. That's pretty much it. Maintain situational awareness. That's the key for everything. Next slide. Removal and extraction. Remember, safety is #1 priority. Regardless of the situation, March is still the way that we're going to be in sequence when providing assessments. So as we talked about previously, have a plan of action before you go up to a situation. So you might come up to a motor vehicle accident. You something you want to keep into consideration. You know, is the vehicle on fire? Is there anything that I need to bring with me to get that person out? Are they able to get out of the vehicle themselves? What kind of injuries am I going to suspect with a motor vehicle accident? You know, if you can see that the individual is bleeding from a distance and you approach them, you might want to already have that tourniquet out and ready. So there's a friction adapter that it goes through. You might want to completely take that the tourniquet apart, so that way if their leg is impaled or they're not able to remove their leg, you can quickly get that tourniquet underneath the leg or the arm to be able to apply that tourniquet prior to moving that patient. You might also want to take into consideration if the vehicle's on fire, I might not want to take my time putting a tourniquet on right at the scene. I might want to get that individual out as fast as possible and then go ahead and put that tourniquet on. Because at any moment, that vehicle that's on fire could potentially blow up and that becomes a safety hazard. So then we could go from one patient to having two. So remember, safety is #1. Consider putting tourniquets on. So M for massive hemorrhage. Consider doing that at the site, and then only as your training. So if you have a car under fire, if you aren't trained to be a firefighter, don't try being a hero. Extricate that individual and move on with your assessment. Next slide. Again, March pause, in case you guys forgot. Next slide. Communication. So we want to communicate with the casualty. A lot of times, traumatic situations aren't just traumatic to the body, but it's also psychologically traumatic. They may be dazed and confused, could be in shock. There's many things that could be going on. So talking to that individual, keeping them calm, helping them keep their breathing down will also
No, you don't. Yeah, I do.
Anton's at work.
Resolve any or resolve.
My computer died.
I was listening to her.
You said what?
I was listening to her.
Where's she going?
Which time? if I go fix it?
Fix what?
Your computer.
Yeah, that thing not too bad.
Is it on the charger? What is your dog doing?
Trying to close the door as we go. Mama, stop!
What?
Oh my God, dang!
Yeah.
Where's the chips?
You said what? You said, oh. You got a crease in my butt cut. What do you mean where? Where's my butt cut?
Where?
You know what?
Yeah.
Huh? What?
I ain't feel no crease in it.
What'd you feel it?
You feel it? What's the time you think?
You see what time it is? You must be out of your mind. I love it. Out of your mind.
You touch it.
I can't.
On top of me, man.
This is just so look at in the closet. Alright, that's not what I said. I said that. Okay. Perfect. You sleeping? What are you doing? You guys not, you need tissue? Babe, you're sleeping. That's why you're not supposed to be laying down in bed. Good.
Oh, well, I guess I have to go inside and find it. Look at my glass guy, that's so cool. Oh no, my scooter's broken. No. What can I do? What can I do? Let's look at Leah, eat it. Okay. Hello, Ellie. Hello, buddy. So I need a friend to go to the mall with me. My name is Gigi. I love What do you think, guys? Bye. Breakfast is ready. I'm not a flat. I'm a super food. What a sneaky.
Okay, I'm coming. What are you doing? Hi. Just watching Kennedy play with my arms. Just watching Kennedy play with my arms. No. Hmm. How old are we? I figured that's what that meant. You are such a crackhead. I told Kendrick, hi, Kennedy was like, jacket, and I was like, no, we're gonna go in a little bit. And then Kendrick's like, where are you guys going? I was like, to Denise. And he's like, for what? I'm like, I can't go see Denise. And he's like, I want to go. And I was like, Antoine's not there. And he's like, oh, I don't want to go.
Sad face.
Right. I'm so confused. Your dash always ends at 9. And then the parking spots are like all the way over there. Yeah, by the rental office. That's the biggest problem. Yeah, that hurts. Okay, he's taking a... You know he's sleeping like right behind me, right? I said he's sleeping like right behind me. I didn't know. So are we still coming over now? I'm about to put clothes on Kennedy and come there. I think I'm gonna stop to get her like some chicken nuggets or something though. Kennedy don't eat noodles like that really. She's definitely a fry girl. No, because I need to finish cleaning and stuff here. So I'd rather just come and get it out the way now. And then come in. You can put some... Yeah. You can put them to sleep. No, we won't get there until like 11:30. You said 11. You need to make up your mind. You sound a little stressed. So then what's the problem? They went back to sleep. Seven? Seven sounds like you guys slept in. Yeah, that's what I do to Kennedy. No, I don't like that. But anyways, kids obviously do, because that's what Kennedy does. Get the fuck off the iPad, girl. Don't stand on it. Kennedy, I'm about to throw a shoe at you. Well, that's the only thing that's there. It's either my shoe or my phone, and I'm not gonna throw my phone. Your nap time ends at what time? See, this isn't even a very... No. You picky ass teenagers. Well, Kennedy's nap time doesn't end until 2, and she doesn't go to sleep until 12, so it would have to be after that she wakes up. Okay. And then when are you going door dashing? I don't know what time that is. Hey, I don't know what she's saying right now, though.
Mommy.
What?
Hi.
That's Tanise. Say hi, Tanise.
Hi.
Say Tanise. Oh, she talks all the fucking time. Oh my gosh. That's like my biggest fear, Kennedy peeing on me. I'm not with it. Or like, not on me, but like just peeing with no diaper while I'm doing something. Like, who the hell has time to clean this shit up right now? That's a dinosaur. You like dinosaurs? Give me a kiss. Aww. You're okay. Oh. Oh, you charge it. I didn't know that. Okay, I'll call you. I guess I'll call you after Kennedy wakes up then. Okay, bye-bye. Cheerio! Bye-bye. phone.
Mommy! Mommy!
What?
Mommy!
What?
Here.
Thank you. Thank you.
No.
Okay, come on, we'll be right back, okay? Ow! You hurt my foot. So you want to eat? Huh? You want to eat too? What do you want to eat?